So thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome everybody to IoT Madrid Forum. It's a pleasure to be here today and to have the keynote. My name is Juergen Kraemer. I'm from Software AG. I'm doing IoT for quite some years now. I joined Software AG via an acquisition who had to do with IoT beforehand since a couple of years now. And today I want to share with you some of our experiences in the IoT space. So I don't want to give you an advertising session here. No worries, it's really more about sharing some lessons and best practices. First of all, a high-level introduction to IoT. The beauty about IoT is that it extends our existing digital world, and I assume most people are here are coming from IT companies, telco companies, right? So we are very much familiar with the IT world and software world. And now this digital world is merging with the physical world, with the things, with the devices. And I was at Hannover Messe, so the Hannover trade show in Germany yesterday, which is a big international industry fair. And you can see, when you walk through the halls at this, it's a large exhibition, you can see it in practice. You see all these robots playing table tennis against you. You have this augmented reality. And a lot of really cool demos. So the big players like Bosch and Siemens, they even have small manufacturing systems, built into the halls. And you can really see this convergency of the physical world, the things, the robots, the machines, the production lines, and the digital world, the software world. Not only to visualize the physical world, but also to analyze the data coming from the devices and to provide higher value services. There are many use cases in the area of the Internet of Things. This is just a motivational slide to give you some idea. Predictive maintenance, that's a very common use case we see, and we have customers like Lexmark, for example, who use our software to do predictive maintenance for the printers and copiers, which means they want to provide higher value services to their customers, so to the users of the printers and copiers, and ensure that their printing services are running smoothly, that no copiers and printers fail. So they want to predict problems before they impact the business. They want to fix parts of the printers and copiers. They want to replace cartridges in advance, so that the customers say, oh, the printers from Lexmark, they are running 24/7 without disruption. Smart logistic, another big area. Use cases here are about supply chain visibility, last mile visibility, track and trace. I'll give you some examples from Bosch later on, what we do together with Bosch. But we also have customers like Royal Dirkswager. What they do is they, with our software, they monitor the port of Rotterdam. And you have the big cargo ships coming from the sea into the port of Rotterdam. And you have the logistics in the harbor, so all the trucks and trains and containers that need to be moved from the ships to the trucks and trains, etc. And then you have these unforeseeable things like changes of weather, traffic jams on the road, and you need to now balance the load in the harbor. So you need to coordinate the speed of the ships entering the harbor, and you also need to coordinate the logistics in the harbor to improve overall efficiency. Another example, smart insurance. I'd like to tie that to the connected car. We have a customer in Italy, Octo Telematics. And Octo, what they do is they provide a pay-as-you-go car insurance. You might have heard that. So the idea is, you have to agree with it, but if you buy in, Octo will track your driving behavior. And if you're driving your car in a nice way, with patience and carefully, you'll get a better tariff. If you're using the German Autobahn and go to maximum speed all the time, braking heavily, producing crashes, then it will be more expensive. So based on your driving behavior, you'll be charged. And Octo Telematics, they have now 4.3 million connected users to that platform. And they provide services to the insurance companies. Yeah? But they do much more than just providing an API and higher value services to the insurance companies. They also do fleet management, and they also provide the drivers transparency into their behavior. They use this for risk scoring, etc. as well. Another big area for software AGs here, because we're headquartered in Germany, and we have a lot of engineering and manufacturing companies in Germany. Industry 4.0, or smart manufacturing, or industrial IoT, however you want to call it, is a very important area for us. And we have strong partners and customers in that space, like Bosch, for example, or Dürr. We announced Dürr on Monday this week. Dürr is it's so-called German Mittelstand, so small, medium-sized business, but they still do around 6 billion revenue. And they, for example, produce painting robots for the car manufacturers. So VW is using their painting robots to paint the cars in their manufacturing lines. Or they have another business division in the wood industry, and they build the manufacturing lines for IKEA. So to make it easy, wood goes in, and the IKEA furniture for your kitchen comes out. Yeah. Then, there are many more use cases. You can read that here, retail, smart home. You have heard about that. It's a big market. And while we talk about market, I also want to share some of the analysts' perspectives on the IoT market. This quote from Gartner says that in 2020, we'll have 50 billion connected devices. Yeah? And these devices, they produce data all the time, over the day, every day. And this will be a massive data. So they predict that the data in 2020 will be 40 trillion gigabytes and will grow per year by 40%. So that's a massive volume of data that needs to be analyzed, maybe even partially stored. And the challenge is to create value out of that data. And here's the value. McKinsey and other consulting companies, they estimate the worldwide IoT revenue in 2020, same year, to be $1 trillion. This includes everything. This includes the hardware, the networks, the software, and also the consulting services around. But it's a big number. It's a big opportunity for all of us. And then another statement from McKinsey, they predict the operating costs of key affected industries impacted by IoT. So the impact of IoT in the various industries to be $36 trillion, which is a big impact. Yeah? So there is a lot of business to make in that space, leading to big cost savings as well. Now, you don't need to read the logos. Yeah? This is just the motivational slide. But it shows you the market. It's a very early market. It's a huge opportunity. That's why everyone wants to be part of it. And this is what happens then. It's a very fragmented market. Yeah? In the IoT space, we have hardware players. Sure, it's all about connecting devices, yeah? Things, machines, robots, whatever. So we have hardware players. Then we have connectivity providers. We have the telcos. Yeah, we have different types of connectivity. You might have heard about low power WAN, Sigfox, LoRa, etc. technologies, narrowband IoT. So a lot of connectivity players in here. Then we have the software platform providers. And there are many providers in that space for edge platforms, for cloud platforms, and so on. Then we have vertical specialists. Yeah? We have companies who say, okay, I focus on smart home. I focus on energy. I'm focusing on manufacturing systems, yeah? Next generation MES systems, whatever. So we have the vertical players, the horizontal software players. We have players in the augmented reality space, in this 3D printing. It's a really big market. And there is intense competition. All the big players are there. We have the industrial players like GE, Bosch, Siemens, very well established, international, very big companies. Yeah, Bosch, for example, they have 360,000 employees. It's a huge company. And then we also have, besides the industrial players, we have the big software players. We have IBM, Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, and even the newer ones like Amazon. Yeah? They're also pushing heavily into that market. This is creating intense competition, but it's also opportunity for the smaller vendors because of this intense competition. No single vendor will dominate the IoT market. Yeah? So the thing that happened with SAP in the ERP market, that they really were dominating this market, will not happen again. The big players will push into that market. They'll certainly get their market share, but no one will reach above, let's say, 15 to 20% of the market. Yeah? So what are now the challenges of the digital transformation for the Internet of Things? And for us, the Internet of Things has to do with digital business. Yeah? It's all IoT use cases are use cases of the digital business. So first of all, IoT generates massive amounts of data, and this data needs algorithms. Or in other words, data is the oil, but oil needs to be refined. Yeah? You need to get value out of that data. And this value is extracted by software. You need smart, clever algorithms to extract value out of that software. And these algorithms can be, for example, machine learning algorithms. Yeah? Next point, software will become the prime source of innovation in every industry. And that's an important message. In particular, in Germany, we're speaking to we have these smaller companies in Germany, German Mittelstand, yeah, which are really good in designing products. Yeah, they are market leaders in designing a special product in a special need. They really do this very well, yeah, but they have to think about software. Otherwise, they'll be out of business or not growing their business anymore. Because the real value now lies in combining their products, their excellence in designing and creating these products, in combining that with software to make these products smarter and offer smarter services on top. Because new digital business models are written in software, yeah, and data is the basis. So you have the data, you use the data to make your products smarter, and based on these smarter products, you then create smarter services, which are then integrated with other services to create even higher level services. And last but not least, there is no commercial, off-the-shelf, end-to-end IoT business solution. So what does that mean? It's a complex phrase. There is no vendor out there, not even the very big ones, like a GE or a SAP or IBM, yeah, who can provide everything end-to-end. That means from the device, over the edge, over the gateways, with the connectivity, over the cloud, to the final applications and IT world. So this full end-to-end solution doesn't exist out of the box. That's a fact. So what we've seen over the last 2 years, working with many of our customers in the IoT space, is that they can't buy an IoT business solution. Yeah? So they can't simply go to GE or Bosch or IBM and say, oh, we have predictive maintenance for a steam cracker, please give us the solution. It doesn't work, it's not there. It's not there. So they have to assemble and build it. And in order to be able to assemble and build such an end-to-end business solution, you need a framework. You need building blocks that help you create it quickly. And here is the end-to-end view again. So you have your devices, whether this is a pump or a compressor or sensors in a production line, doesn't matter. They are usually connected to a gateway. Yeah? So that's a local area network here. And then the gateway communicates with an IoT cloud platform, usually called an IoT hub. So that's a long-distance connection. And then the IoT hub, again, needs to be integrated with your IT backend systems. Yeah? So your ERP systems, CRM systems, cloud services, etc. And the IoT framework provides all the building blocks, software building blocks, yeah, to allow you create your IoT business solutions quickly. So what's the basic idea now? Customers and partners as well, so we also have big global SIs who do the same. They want to build an end-to-end IoT framework. And usually these partners or customers, they have several business divisions. Yeah? For example, let's take Bosch or Dürr. They have a business division dealing with manufacturing lines. Another business division could be around the smart home. And a third business division could be around smart cities. And then they have all in common, they have a complex, heterogeneous IT landscape. You know? And the ultimate goal of IoT is to bridge the information technology world with the operational technology world, yeah? To bring these two worlds together. And we have the MES providers who lived in that space for quite a while, who are now moving from here to there. We have the software vendors who are familiar with this world, who are now moving from there to this way. Yeah? And the IoT framework now sits in the middle. The IoT framework is based on a cloud infrastructure. But the IoT framework is agnostic from a specific cloud infrastructure vendor. Yeah? So what I'm hearing again and again, yes, there are vendors out there like Pivotal Cloud Foundry, or Microsoft Azure, or AWS, yeah? And that's all good. But customers do not want to be locked in to one of these specific vendors. They say, yes, I want my software services to be developed on top of a cloud infrastructure, but I want to be flexible to replace this cloud infrastructure vendor if I need to. Yeah? And Bosch did the same. I'll mention that in a minute. Yeah? They started with their own data centers, yeah? And used Pivotal Cloud Foundry on top, and are now opening this up to also provide their services on AWS. Yeah? And I can give you certainly more examples. We also have customers who run the IoT platform services in Microsoft Azure, yeah? And that's totally fine. So, important statement here is, be agnostic from the cloud infrastructure layer. But the cloud infrastructure layer is important to give you elastic scalability and so on. Yeah? So the cloud has its benefits, innovation, speed, etc. On top of the cloud infrastructure layer, you then have the IoT platform services, which are the software services. And I make it easy here because it's a keynote. Yeah? I have two big boxes. The first box is the IoT integration services. That means you need to integrate with your OT systems, and you need to integrate with your IT systems. On the IT side, this is, for example, integration with your legacy systems, but also with your cloud services, also with your data lakes, your Hadoop systems, whatever you have. On the OT side, this means, for example, you need to connect to, if we're talking production, you need to connect to OPC via OPC UA to a field bus, via this field bus protocol to certain machines, or via Modbus or CAN bus, whatever, depends on your use case. In the smart home space, there are different protocols being used, like MQTT, etc. And also you have to take the networks into account here. This can be a fixed network, this can be a Wi-Fi network, this can be a mobile network. Yeah? So you need to be very flexible when it comes to integration. On top, you then have the IoT development services. This is where you create your business logic. Yeah? So this is about analytics. Yeah? This is about machine learning. This is about streaming analytics, which allows you to analyze the data from your machines in real time to look for patterns and initiate actions. This is about dashboarding and visualization. And based on these IoT platform services, the business divisions then create the IoT solutions. So that's the idea. The IoT framework is the basis for the IoT solutions. Yeah? This is owned by the IT mainly, providing the building blocks, yeah, for the business divisions to then build their different solutions on top. And an example would be, you could now build your condition monitoring solution for your smart home, or your performance management solution for your production lines to improve operational efficiencies. Now, Software AG, we are offering a so-called digital business platform, which provides key components for an IoT framework. But to be honest with you, we don't offer everything. We just offer certain parts in which we are really a leading vendor, but we don't offer everything. We are very strong when it comes to enterprise and cloud integration. The brand we have there is called Web Methods. It's about hybrid integration, so really connecting on-premise systems with cloud services and cloud applications. Also, API management plays an important role here. Not only to connect to APIs, but also to provide APIs to partners to monetize these APIs. Then we acquired a company called Cumulocity. And Cumulocity deals with device connectivity and device management. Yeah? So this is about connecting to the things. Yeah? And together, this is a big building block we call IoT integration. On the IoT analytics side, we provide dashboarding, visual analytics, and we are very strong when it comes to, we call it the speed layer. So it's everything that has to do with the analysis of large amounts of data in real time. Yeah? So we can take millions of events and look in these streams of events for patterns and even apply predictive models, yeah, on these streams of events, which is quite powerful and needed if you want to do use cases like predictive maintenance, for example. What we don't do is the whole batch world. So we have integration points to store your data into Hadoop. But what we don't do is we don't offer you any data lakes. We don't offer you any analytics for Hadoop, etc. This is a space where we're not in. Another interesting thing that other vendors don't have is the design time. IoT modeling and portfolio management. What we do here is, you might have heard about ARIS, process modeling. We integrated ARIS with this device integration and device management platform. And we now can extract the metadata describing a device, a thing, yeah, and use these IoT objects in the business process modeling so that you can model your business processes for your use case in the IoT world. And we also provide portfolio management. The brand there is called Alphabet. And Alphabet started in the IT world. Yeah? The challenge there is that decision makers have to have an overview on the software you are using in the enterprise. And if it's a large enterprise, you have thousands of Office licenses with different versions, you have hundreds of databases, you have different Hadoop systems, cloud services, etc. It's a mess. And you need to know who is using which software, what licenses do you have, and so on. So Alphabet is giving you an overview of your IT landscape. And now we extended this towards the OT landscape. Yeah? So we're taking the data from here, from the device management, and we now know, oh yeah, these devices are connected to this gateway. Yeah? That gateway belongs to this plant. Yeah? This plant is managed by this business division. And this overview is pretty important. And now we can really bridge the worlds because we have the overview on the IT landscape and the overview on the OT landscape in a single design tool. So, now some examples. Yeah? One of our reference customers for an IoT framework is Bosch. And what Bosch provides is a so-called Bosch IoT Cloud, which is an IoT framework. Yeah? It's sitting on top of an infrastructure layer, and Bosch, as I mentioned, started with their own data centers, but it's now opening it up towards AWS. And Bosch is using our software in their platform layer. So they're using our messaging, our streaming analytics, our predictive analytics, and so on, as building blocks, so that the business divisions can then build solutions on top. Yeah? And depending on the requirements of a solution, they can select the right building blocks from multiple vendors here, right? This is not all software AG. This is Bosch internal software, this is software from Pivotal and from other vendors. So it's a multi-vendor strategy, which gives a lot of flexibility to their business division. So they can select the functional components that they need. And they can build a best-of-breed approach. And what we then even did, what I didn't see coming, but which is great, we developed higher value services together with Bosch. So Bosch is not only a customer, but also a partner. We then developed a location awareness service which uses our streaming analytics and messaging underneath. And this location awareness service is a cooperation with Bosch Software Innovations. And what it does, it's a continuous monitoring and analysis of geo-aware devices. Yeah? So, for example, imagine you have an e-bike and an app for your e-bike. Yeah? And if the e-bike is locked, yeah, and starts moving outside of a geo-fence, you want to be informed. Yeah? They can send you a notification, say, hey, Juergen, your e-bike has moved 2 kilometers away from the place you locked it. And then you can decide what to do. You can notify the police or run out and try to catch the thief, whatever. But they are using our software underneath and offering this now as part of the Bosch IoT Cloud. And that's just a very, very easy example. Yeah? There are more complex examples here. Bosch wants to use this location awareness service also for asset monitoring for railway applications, so for cargo monitoring. They have these devices which they equip to the wagons, yeah, and they can measure vibration and so on. And the beauty is, with our streaming analytics and pattern detection in there, we can really continuously analyze the data coming from these wagons and other devices. Yeah, we don't need to store it and analyze it afterwards. We can continuously analyze the data and trigger actions at the right time. The next big use case is track and trace. So it's the continuous monitoring of goods during transport. So they have these boxes and they equipped devices with mobile connectivity to these boxes. And Dr. Denner, the CEO from Bosch, he mentioned this use case in his keynote in Berlin at Bosch Connected World. He said, imagine if we can monitor the goods during transport to one of our manufacturing lines. And if there is a bumpy road in the eastern part of Germany, and we can detect this, yeah, it can also be the western part, don't get me wrong. We have bumpy roads there as well, but he said eastern. We can detect this during the transport, and we can retest the goods before we use them again in the manufacturing plant, because otherwise they would use the parts, yeah, and would see high error rates. But because they monitored the transport, yeah, they can take proactive action and retest the goods. Other use case would be active parking lot management. So Bosch is going heavily into the connected car, and finding parking lots is always a tricky task. And needs location awareness services. You need to know where the spots are where you can park your car. So you need to have the right context information available. Last but not least, track my tools. This is the monitoring of power tool inventory. That means they have these, for example, professional screwdrivers, not the ones I have at home, the really expensive professional ones they use in the airline industry, yeah, to build the airplanes. And what they can do there is they can really adjust the torque based on the position of the screwdriver. Yeah? They can switch off a screwdriver when it leaves a geofence. And these are all use cases that can benefit from this location awareness service. So, how do we work together with our customers and partners? We provide a set of platform services, whereas the customers and partners build the end-to-end IoT framework. We also provide development services, like analytics services and so on, so that the customer is equipped to build IoT applications. We can provide best practices and architecture know-how, whereas the customer brings in the industry know-how. And this is what we see very often. We announced, for example, also a partnership with Dürr and with OSI Soft and so on. So these industry partners like Bosch and Dürr and so on, they say, we know the use cases, we know the industry very well. And you, Software AG, you know how to develop software very well. So let's work together to build best-in-class solutions and frameworks. We can bring in our consulting know-how, but we also work with partners on that end and bring them in when needed. And the customer brings in the process know-how. So let me now summarize my speak. First of all, CEOs have to think software first. It's the driver for innovation in IoT. And not only IoT. Software is changing our world. And every company needs to think software first. Yeah? That's a bad message for some companies, but they have to get used to it and hire software engineers and enable their products with higher value software services. Then, customers, in particular large customers, need to build best-of-breed IoT frameworks in order to benefit from flexibility, reusability, and extensibility. This example that I showed you with Bosch, yeah? They could have implemented the location functionality in every single solution. Yeah? They could have said, oh, we're developing the location functionality for cargo monitoring. We're developing the location analytics functionality for track and trace. We're developing the location analytics functionality again for the power tools. Yeah? But then you're replicating efforts, and these business divisions, they might not be so deep in geo-aware location analytics, right? So they need to make themselves familiar with this complex technology. And rather than developing it in the business divisions, it was much smarter to move that out of the business solutions into the framework so that the business divisions can then reuse this as a building block, and they can parameterize and configure it as needed. So this reusability and flexibility, this is key. You know? Then the IoT solutions are built on top of the IoT framework. You know? And yeah, customers are mainly doing this because, number one, they want to avoid a vendor lock-in. Yeah? Not only on the cloud infrastructure side, also on the software side. Many customers saying, okay, I see a vendor like IBM or Microsoft or Bosch, they have their strength, yeah? But I don't want to fully be locked in with that vendor. I want to have some flexibility. And remember what I said before, there is no vendor out there in the market that has everything end-to-end. So you need to go for a multi-vendor strategy anyway, right? So you need to have building blocks from multiple vendors anyway. And then the right approach is to select a few vendors, let's say 3, 4, 5, yeah, which provide you the necessary building blocks for your IoT framework. This gives you flexibility, you avoid the vendor lock-in, and also very important, you keep the ownership and data governance. Yeah? In particular, these manufacturing companies, if they hand out their expertise on the data and the models, the predictive models they create on their data, and give that to a software vendor, they're giving away a part of their business. And they don't want to do this. So they want to own the data governance. And that's why it's so important to not be locked in by a single vendor. And last but not least, the CIOs need to own, shape, and provide the IoT framework. What I've seen a couple of times is IoT is a hype. Everyone wants to get into the IoT space. So the business divisions start running, and they do POCs here and there. This business division starts a POC with vendor A, that business division starts a POC with vendor B, and so on. And that's all good. You're exploring business opportunities. But at the end of the day, if you let them go, you will end up in a mess, because you have, 5 to 10 business divisions with different technologies and softwares used in there. And at the end, you as a CIO have to consolidate this mess of software, which will be a very expensive and painful and time-consuming project. So it's much better to get your business divisions engaged on this process, invite them, sit on a table and say, what do you need in terms of functional components? Yes, you need cloud infrastructure. Yes, you need analytics. Yes, you need IT integration and OT integration. Discuss the building blocks, do a short listing of vendors, provide the IoT framework as a basis, and then let them go. And if they need something in addition, you have to establish the process, to analyze which vendors can provide this, and then add it to your framework. But if you let them go, you'll end up in a mess. You'll be very fast, but at the end of the day, you'll have to pay for it and to consolidate all that. So this is important for the IT departments to keep control, to have the governance of this IoT framework. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, also later in the coffee breaks. Thank you very much.